Everyone and their mother has recently been leaking expansions left and right, creating their own expansion concepts with obviously fake logos, baseless speculations, dragons, and just dragons everywhere. Now, I can't say I'm personally not guilty of it with the speculations I have made, but in this video, I wanted to actually cover all the actual hints that we have. Not speculations, not my own wishes and thoughts, but I wanted to compile all the official hints that were given to us, all the actual evidence, so that you can make your own conclusions by the end of the video on what could be next. Before we get into the video, I'd like to talk about this video sponsor, and that is Ridge Wallet. Now, I've genuinely used this wallet for, well, nearly 2 years since they sent it to me, and I've pretty much used it every single day. I haven't used another wallet ever since. So, you may be wondering what it even is. At first I was a bit skeptical about it, but it is actually excellent. You put cards here, they come out super easily. You put cash here as well, and really it is super sleek. It is very unique looking, you can kind of feel it is weighty, but it isn't too weighty. It just doesn't feel like cheap plastic, really feels like quality. Now, if you want to get a great discount, the 15% one, check out my link in the description or use code DORON and use my link in the description and get your own Ridge Wallet. While creating expansion theories and leaks has been happening since forever, for the next one, our evidence mainly starts around the end of last year when the PTR was announced and Blizzard decided to do just a whole bunch of interviews, giving us hints for what is to come, and they're obviously already in development of the next expansion. It will be announced in just a bit over a month. However, before we get into the interviews, we also have one hint, which while it isn't from the official Blizzard devs, it is from Christy Golden, the writer, and in July last year, she tweeted this. Not to reopen a can of old god-sized worms, but a gentle reminder, the story is far from over. As she is a writer responsible for a big part of the Warcraft story, this obviously hints that the old gods will be returning. She didn't say in what way, what exactly will happen, but it is likely that either an expansion will be related to them or that they will play a role in a future expansion. So aside from vague tweets, we have the official Blizzard interview that confirmed the setting of the next expansion. They were talking about the future World of Warcraft, how they understand our concerns that we have in regards to, fighting cosmological threats all across the universe, and how they now want to bring us back to that original RPG feel that was so iconic with classic World of Warcraft. Now, in regards to this, they gave us an official confirmation that the expansion will be based on Azeroth, and that it won't be a major cosmological faction war just blazing all over the place. However, they didn't discount the fact that the cosmological threats should be in the background and that they will still play a big role. It is just that we probably won't be in direct contact with them. The example they gave us was the Burning Crusade, on how we were fighting on Outland, dealing with a whole bunch of things, while the Legion, the Naru, the Void were in the background, just, doing their own thing. So that really could be a good frame of reference for the next expansion after Shadowlands. This essentially means that more than likely the cosmological stuff will continue to happen. It's just that we probably won't be going into Zereth Mortises and, turning the universe on and off again. Now, while we're also talking about the interview, the next bit of official information leads us to the most recent interview where they confirmed the cross-faction grouping thing will be coming. Blizzard was asked about how will this affect the future of Warcraft, because, the conflict is literally in the name of the game. They answered that the conflict hasn't really been about two factions pretty much since the original RTS games, and that they strongly hinted that there will never again be a grand faction war akin to Battle for Azeroth. So, while not a hint for the next expansion, it is a hint for what won't be happening. So let us sum up all the info they gave us so far. The next expansion will be based on Azeroth, it won't be a faction war, cosmological threats will be in the background but not the main focus, and the Old God story is not over. With the Old God stuff, it is important to know that Christy Golden tweeted this nearly a year ago, meaning that she's more than likely referring to the expansion that is just about to be announced when she said the story is far from over. It is a really long stretch that she was hinting like 2 expansions down the line. I honestly don't even believe they have that planned at this point. Now, my thoughts aside, let us look into further raw data and evidence that we have for the next WoW expansion. The next bit is not interviews, but what we have actually patched together from the data mined information as well as previous hints. So, as you may already be aware, there is a pattern with Blizzard releasing storebounds in the next expansion. It is 100% undeniable. Of course, it doesn't outright confirm the expansion, but I think we would just be fools to deny that this is the case. In multiple expansions, they released Stormhounds that were present in the next one as regular NPCs. For example, the Fey Dragon and the Rylax in Mists of Pandaria that were then present in Worlds of Draenor. Then the Saverian Dreamer that they added in BFA that were obviously seen in Ardenweald. This pattern even happened prior to Mists of Pandaria, so this now brings us to two mounts they had most recently released. The Sapphire Skyblazer that is a very Elune-like mount, and the Sunformed Furline that is a completely unique mount that you may be thinking, what does this even have to do with anything? But the hint here is we have Elune, Moon-like mount, and the Sunwarmed Sun mount, which is a concept they have hinted at in one of the most recent books, The Folks and the Fairy Tales of Azeroth, when they talked about the concept of the sun and the moon and how that related to Azeroth, the Earth Mother, which is more than obviously related to the World Soul. Now, why this is even more evidence and even more relevant than ever is because you may realize that the entire Shadowlands expansion has been all about the Jailer, Sylvanas, Zereth Mortis, Maw, First Ones, and all that stuff. Yet, we have this entire storyline and very fleshed out cinematics that talk about Elune and Ysera, even though they don't really seem to play any significant role in the main story of the Shadowlands. The next big hint down the line is that we have actually data mined some encrypted files that could very well be the deluxe edition of the unannounced expansion. Most importantly, there is a file named Drake Mount Emerald, you know, green, and you know, Ysera being a thing in the Shadowlands, having a minor role with obvious potential to return after this expansion is over. This is one of the main bits of evidence that led people to go just on a whole crazy Dragon Isles expansion thing. Why this is relevant is because the Dragon Isles really are a thing. It is not just people making it up. I know people are making a really big deal out of it and just jumping to crazy conclusions, but the reality is that there is some actual substance to this entire matter. The Dragon Isles were originally built in World of Warcraft. They were half finished, but they were scrapped, and the old gods were supposed to be involved in the entire matter. You know, that now brings us back to that Christy Golden tweet where she mentions that the story is far from over. Also, in BFA, on 2 occasions the Dragon Isles were mentioned, softly hinting that they're an actual thing, even though that there never was really a map or anything of the sort. Now, let us get into the last bit of evidence that we have, and that is from the most up-to-date patch 9.2. Now, this is actually a bit of a spoiler as this happens after the Jailer is defeated, but you know, that Automa language that we were supposed to learn, well, we're kinda done with all that 9.2 stuff. We read the journal of that broker Fareem that you're all working with, that is so prominent in Zereth Mortis, and we read everything from his discovery of this realm to the actual defeat of the Jailer. So the actual data that we have precedes what is currently going on in retail at this moment, so this is just data mine stuff. There are a bunch of interesting things he mentions, but the main thing Fareem talks about is that he has a really big worry, and that is that while we managed to defeat Zowal and put an end to him, he shouldn't have really been inside Zereth Mortis, let alone do what he had done. Because of that, he is worried that he may have actually succeeded. He may have created some sort of an imperceptible crack in the mechanism that will remain undetected until it is too late, and there is literally not a single force in the universe, in the entire cosmos, that is stronger than the first ones that would be able to prevent the cataclysm that is about to come. Remember, Zereth Mortis is the behind the scenes for death, but it is obviously connected to Azeroth, as there is Azerite, World Soul Blight inside there. All these Zereths are holding the entire universe in place, as long ago the first ones had ordered the cosmos. Fareem says his only hope is that the first ones predicted this and created some sort of a fail-safe mechanism, but in the end, he isn't really too optimistic, and he expects that this could lead to the biggest catastrophe we had ever experienced, especially way worse than the Sundering or the Shattering of Azeroth, because keep in mind, this would be the entire order and the rules of the universe changing forever, not just a few continents on a single planet splitting apart. Of course, we don't really know what this brings to us exactly, but very likely it could lead to the primal state of the universe, which means that the cosmological forces are in opposition. I mean, they already kind of are in opposition, but at least there was that first one mechanism creating some sort of an artificial balance. Now, if that is gone, it might mean that there is not a single force that could stop anything and there are no rules. Now, while this perhaps is not a straight out hint for the next expansion like the previous one, it could be a hint that all hell is about to break loose and that the universe may be changing forever. This could be happening in the next expansion or the one after the next expansion. As Shadowlands and Cinematic was recently released, we also have yet another hint. Not a strong bit of evidence, but as you know, Denetrius was supposed to have a bigger role, yet he doesn't do anything in 9.2 as far as we know at this point. We get the flashback in the cinematic on how he was talking about there being another way, which strongly hints that he has been doing the same thing as Zobel, just in a different manner, and that he may have actually been successful. While super vague, this strongly points toward an Atreus being present in the next expansion and having some type of a role, more than likely as a villain, but depending on what the next expansion is, who really knows. Of course, right now we can only speculate what will happen, but this is all the actual evidence that we have, so I leave it up to you to, connect the dots, create your own concepts on what we should expect next from World of Warcraft. Thank you for watching. Check out where did Varian and Starfang come from by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.